On today's episode of the Wild Party Podcast, I have a fun and colorful conversation with Ada Hsieh, the founder of Fluency Beauty, a vegan, cruelty-free, and sustainable beauty brand that's redefining what beauty really means. Ada's journey took her from the high-pressure world of Wall Street to the colorful creativity of clean cosmetics. She went from trading millions of dollars a day to formulating plant-based makeup that's safe enough to eat and powerful enough to perform. We dive into everything from her bold rebrand, her influencer strategy, and her love of composting, to her dreams of scaling the brand and landing in major retail stores. This is more than a story about lipstick. It's about leadership, loving the planet, and simplifying life as we grow. Let's get the party started. Welcome to the Wild Party Podcast, where we celebrate the visionaries behind vegan, ethical, and sustainable business. In each episode, we'll dive deep into their journeys, uncovering the why behind their mission-driven business. I'm your host, Stephanie Lahart. Tune in with me for passionate discussions about overcoming challenges, innovative marketing strategies, and the power of using business as a force for good. So whether you're an entrepreneur seeking guidance or a conscious consumer wanting to support impactful brands, join us as we explore the stories behind the businesses that are changing the world for the better. Let's get the party started. And today I'm delighted to welcome to the show Miss Ada Hsieh. She is the founder of Fluency Beauty. It is a vegan, cruelty-free, and sustainable beauty brand that is taking the world by storm. I mean, I fell in love with it as soon as I saw it because they have this wonderful product called the multistick. And let me tell you something. As you get older in life, you want to simplify, simplify, simplify. And when I saw this beautiful makeup that I could literally use all over my face, which helped to, I really feel, enhance my natural beauty without overtaking it, I was sold and I needed to have her on the podcast. So, Ada, thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so, like I was saying, we need to simplify, simplify, simplify. And I think you get that because you can tell by everything on your website, your branding, your messaging, you understand it's like, let's live our life to the best form there is. And just, look as good as we can along the way because we don't want to mask. We just want to enhance our natural beauty, right?
Yes, exactly. I'm so happy that the branding and the messaging, I worked so long on that. So I'm so glad that you got that right off the bat.
Yeah, well, I mean, it definitely resonated with me. Like I said, as I get older in life, I just want to simplify. But, you do also want to look your best walking out the door. But, with that said, talking about life journeys, I
Mhm.
did read that you actually started your career in finance
I
and
did.
now you're a beauty mogul. Do you want to take us a little bit on that journey about where that came from?
Yeah, so I have like over 10 years of experience working on Wall Street, and I was a trader, and it was, exciting, and it was such a dopamine hit at times, but it was also really stressful. So at the end of the day, I was just like, I don't know if this is what I really want to do for the rest of my life, because I just felt like I fell into finance, and it just happened to be something that I was good at, but it didn't give me any like real deep purpose at the end of the day. And I was just helping the rich get richer. And there's just like, I don't know, it's not like what my life purpose wanted for me, I thought. And so in that time, like, I think I'm just also, I just lean really heavily into creative hobbies. And so I fell into makeup, and I fell hard into editorial and special effects makeup. So a lot of that is like, the crazy, scary monster stuff that you see on TV, or like even the high fashion, like just really, really artsy looks. And a lot of that is just like different paint mediums, different chemicals like glue and acrylic, and all of these different toxins at the end of the day. And I was breaking out a lot and having allergic reactions like rashes. Sometimes the paint wouldn't even come off my face. So I would have to walk around with like a blue eye for like a week or something like that. Um, and so I just started digging. It just sparked my curiosity. So I started digging, and a lot of these same ingredients that were in special effects makeup were also in our everyday makeup. And it was just hidden behind more like refined formulas. So obviously, I think I saw a stat where like there's like over like 500 products on the market with like all of these cancer causing chemicals and genetic birth defects, hormone disruptors, all of these things. And it's in like some over 73,000 products that are sold across the US. So that was just a little alarming to me. And so and just growing up, my parents were really progressive and they were like so healthy and sustainable already. So I think I just like grew up with that, I guess, mantra in my head. And so I just knew that there was a better way to use makeup because it was just such a mental like it was such a creative outlet and color therapy for me that it was so healthy for my mental being that I was just like it doesn't make sense that it's not good for our physical health.
That's very true. And you hit it right there on the head. It's like, as we progress in our lives and society, we learn things along the way and things that we
Mm-hmm.
thought in the beginning were okay. We're like, wow, that's really super harmful, not only to ourselves, but the environment as well.
Oh
We should
yeah.
not be doing that. But, a lot of times just the way you do it just becomes the accepted norm and the way you do it.
Yes,
So
definitely.
yeah, so I'm glad we're, having the conversation now. It's like you can have other things. And, let me just tell you, when I was reading through your website and looking at the ingredients for your products, they were words that I recognized. So I really, was excited about that. But because it is
Okay.
plant-based, I'm seeing stuff that made me hungry. Like you're using turmeric and beets. And I'm like, girl, you are speaking my language. I'm gonna like eat this multi-stick. So please tell me if it's edible or not. I'm kidding. But I mean,
Yeah.
really, that was very exciting to me because I
So
like
funny.
really understanding what's in the product. So it sounds like, that was kind of a goal for you too.
Yeah, it definitely was. It's so funny because so many of my customers actually asked me that, like, can I actually eat this? And I was like, well, like you could, but it's not recommended. It probably won't taste as good as you think it might.
Right. And also no nutritional value at that
Yeah,
point. So really kind of
exactly.
besides the point. But speaking of
Exactly.
your product then, so you were interested in makeup, you found it as a creative outlet, and you
Mhm.
really started like in the lip area. You started creating a lip beauty. It was called Ada Lip Beauty, correct?
Yeah, definitely it was.
Yeah, but okay, so that was the start. So tell us then how you progressed then to like a full line of beauty. What did that look like for you?
Yeah, so in every founder journey, you don't know what you're doing. Even now, I still don't really know what I'm doing, and a lot of founders are in this camp. So but to figure it out, you have to go on that journey to figure it out. And so back then, when it was Ada Love Beauty, I was just coming out of finance. Like I had no idea what branding, what marketing was. And so I actually hired a marketing consultant and she helped me the way that she knew how and she did it the best to her knowledge. But unfortunately, because I was so new, she mirrored the brand kind of to her aesthetic and to her personality. And so at the end of the day, I didn't even resonate with my own brand.
Mm.
So yeah, that's how it started. But I didn't know. I wouldn't have known if I hadn't gone through that entire process.
Exactly. And you did also along the way. So, when you're starting a business, people will usually have like a moment of inspiration and say, I should do that. And then the next question is, how the heck do I do that?
Yeah,
So when you did
exactly.
decide, I think I want to create this beauty brand, how did you go about like resourcing chemists or figuring out how to even create a product?
Yeah, so I just try and do everything myself at the beginning, and then through that you learn a lot of things, and then you naturally will have more questions. So like the questions from point A are very different from the questions that you start asking at point B. And so I always try to learn everything I can do it myself. And then it comes to a point where you hit a roadblock and you just don't know how else to proceed. So at that point, I hire out and I look for somebody else. And then at that point, you know a lot and you know if those hires are like really know what they're talking about, or if they're just like kind of just trying to consult on a junior level. But so, anyways, you just get more like bang for your buck at the end of the day. I think so yeah, Google is your best friend, obviously, all the time. And then you start asking around and then you like find these networks. So I relied on Upwork a lot and I think I looked on Fiverr too, but I just don't think the quality of Fiverr is as good as Upwork.
Yeah, I think in both cases, because I've used both systems and have pros and cons to them, but it's
Yeah,
always
there's
the
pros and
hardest
cons.
part is just finding the right person that you can work with. Because like you said, you worked with a marketing person at first, but they really just didn't get your vision. It was kind of their
Mhm,
vision.
mhm.
And then you move on and decide I'm going to do this bigger line. Which makes me also ask you, the name Fluency Beauty, where did you come up with that name?
Yeah, so I thought about that for a long time, and it kind of does. It's kind of born from Ada Lip Beauty, obviously, and Ada Lip Beauty was just a line of lipsticks, and the whole premise was like you end up ingesting whatever is on your lips. And so that brand was very focused around the mouth, like using your mouth to speak up, using your voice, and also what you're putting onto your mouth. So I wanted to keep that same ethos and just more about like speaking up and speaking your truth, speaking your inner voice. And so that's where fluency came from. It's really just becoming fluent and expressing who you really are.
Oh, I really love that. And you know what? Then that really ties into how you named your products too, because I noticed within the multi-stick category, they were named like I am brave and I am perfect. And by
Yes.
the way, since I did take your beauty quiz, I will let you know I am and I am brave, girl. So
Nice. Love it.
and speaking of the beauty quiz on your website, I have to tell you, what's really awesome about that is I did the quiz and then I went and looked at all your products and I'm like, oh my God, they're right. I totally would have picked I Am Brave.
Oh my
Like that is
God.
that's the exact
Yay.
color that I would have even gravitated to without even like doing those short questionnaires. I was like, wow, you
Oh
really
my
nailed me,
God.
girl.
Yay.
Thanks.
I'm so glad. That's awesome. Well, just for reference, this is I Am Brave. I'm wearing it
Oh, gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay, so if anyone is watching the video version of this podcast, because we do audio and video, you can see Ada is wearing the I Am Brave, which I will be wearing very soon because
right
I'm
now.
about to order one. I just love it so much. And again, going back to the fact that I really like that you do have a product line that does have the ability to, do multifunction. So I could use it on
Yeah.
my eyes, my lips, my cheeks. Because, like I said, I'm really about in my life now to simplify. I don't want a
Yeah.
full mask of
Definitely.
makeup. In fact,
Okay.
I think YouTube has ruined us a little bit because we got so used to what I'm saying, the mask look, where the makeup was so heavy. And,
Oh, yeah.
they were teaching women to have, I think, stage makeup for the
Yeah. I
day.
know.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
if you want to wear that, you can, but you don't have to. And I feel like we got into an area where young girls started feeling like they had to look like that on a daily basis. So I
Yeah.
really feel like with Fluency Beauty, you're like leading them in maybe a more gentle direction of like, look, you are enough. If you need to enhance a little or you want to enhance a little, this is the way you go. So with that said, speaking of the generation that you were speaking to, I did notice that you
Yeah.
are working with a lot of influencers.
Yes.
And your social media really lets women see how this beauty product interacts in the real world, which I love. Because, it's one thing to have a really pretty product photo, but it's entirely different to see how is it going to look on me or how does it look on other women And I think you've done a great job of us. So tell me what it's like working with influencers. How did you set up that whole program?
Yeah, so definitely influencers. You definitely have to find the right one that fits into your, I guess, your niche. So for me, it's a lot of like clean beauty influencers, vegan influencers, and I try to look for the influencers that are just trying to get up and running, like maybe less than 10,000 followers, just because I feel like their communities are really engaged. And also, since I'm still pretty new as well, the whole point is to just grow together.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And I totally agree with the 10,000 or less. I am a
Mhm.
social media expert, so you hit that right there on the
Oh,
head.
nice.
Absolutely. You want to grow with your community,
Yeah,
and let them
exactly.
experience the brand, the brand and the growth with them, because then they
Mhm.
feel more invested in it. And so
Yeah.
that totally pays off. So since you mentioned it, and I'm so glad you did, your products are vegan, they are cruelty free. You are doing sustainable packaging. And not only that, you are Leaping Bunny certified, which
Yeah.
I love. Congratulations and
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
So let's talk about that. How did you navigate that process of getting certified and why was that important to you?
Um, I just really wanted to be as transparent as possible. And a lot of times nowadays, you just have to get certified to prove your transparency. And what's so great about Leaping Bunny is they actually do go through your entire supply chain to check and to make sure like everyone has to sign off that they're vegan and cruelty free.
Right. So then that makes it a little bit easier for you.
Yeah.
But so when you decided you were going to do Leaping Bunny, did you have to actually go and check your suppliers first, or are you saying that they actually check it for you?
No, like I had to go do it myself and talk to everybody, like call up all of my suppliers down the supply chain and which is great because Leaping Bunny is so recognized that I'm not the only brand who does this. So a lot of suppliers already have their own program in place. And they're just like, oh yeah, we're certified too. So here's our, documents to show that.
Right, right. And so not only are you, taking that tract of the vegan cruelty free, but you're also using entirely biodegradable packaging.
Yeah.
And it's made from corn, right?
Yeah, it's
Tell
really
me about that. How
awesome.
did that all develop?
Yeah, so part of it is whatever industry that you want to work in, you really want to engross yourself into that industry. So going to networking events, talking to other different founders that work in the same space as you, just really make those connections. Go to industry trade shows, speaking panels, um, whatever events people, well, I live in New York, so it's a little bit easier. Someone is always doing something in the space that you want to learn more from. And so I just try to go to as many of those as I could and talk to people. And people, when you go to these events, they're really nice and they're really welcoming because everyone's there for the same purpose to like network and meet people. And so you just talk and like ask questions and one thing leads to another. So if you need somebody, like somebody will know somebody, or like, it's like always 1 or 2 degrees apart. So I was looking for sustainable packaging. And I know that a lot of brands are using PCR, which is that like plastic, recycled plastic.
Hmm.
But I just didn't think that recycled plastic, the PCR is really expensive and the MOQs were also really, really high and I was not able to reach those. So I was just looking for an alternative that was cost efficient as well. That was, it was a win-win across board, like good for the planet, and like would it bankrupt me in the process. So yeah, so I asked around and someone introduced me to a supplier who was making these plant-based packaging as well.
Okay, so I read on your website that I can throw these in my compost bin. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes, you can. Yeah,
Okay.
and there's a inner like silver part right here. This is aluminum. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, right there. This is
Uh-huh.
aluminum. So this part you can pull out. Let me see. And you can, this part is recyclable.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so I'm a recent convert to composting, and actually, it was because one of my previous guests, Andrew Hargis of Compost Club, he
Oh,
introduced me to the world of composting and how easy it is because I'm in an apartment, and he developed these whole countertop little composting bins you can use. Um,
oh my God, how
Oh yeah,
fun.
yeah. I'll have to introduce you to him. He's so great, and he's
Yes.
actually in New York too.
Oh, very
But I
cool.
love that I could then be able to throw something like, my makeup tube in there as well, because
Hmm.
as I move through my life journey, I do look around my life and think, oh my God, I have so many things that I want to use, but what do I do? Do I recycle them? Can
Yeah,
I compost them?
I
Um,
know.
and I am in LA, so like in about 2 weeks, our tomato season starts where we're all planting.
Oh,
I'm like, oh my God,
amazing.
this could be part of my composting for tomato
Oh
season,
my God, that's awesome. That's so cool. I
right?
know. I want to move out of New York eventually and have my own little garden and like compost bin, maybe like a little bee farm or something.
I do have to say, we have a lot of opportunities out here in LA, but certainly New York has their own as well. Okay, so you're already figuring it out along the way. In fact, you are already interested and utilizing the regenerative agriculture technology. Tell me how that works.
Yeah, so I really wanted to do something a step beyond what other people maybe think about. So fortunately, I was introduced to this supplier, and they have this entire ecosystem where they partner only with farmers. They either have their own farms or they partner with farmers. They have like a mixture of both, where they implement sustainable farming practices. So a lot of it, that overarching umbrella is called regenerative agriculture. And so what that does is it works with nature instead of against it, because farming is actually, I think, the number one like land destroyer. I'm saying this like really awkwardly, but
Yeah.
farming destroys the land. Like they're the number one source. So what regenerative agriculture does is it helps the biodiversity of the soil by planting, like, say, um, onions and cabbage together, or garlic and cabbage, because garlic is a natural pesticide. So then they don't have to like spray all this stuff that like kills everything, and like even like degenerates the soil quality as well. And then there's like, it saves water as well, and it saves land space. So there's just so many things that are just so good for the planet with regenerative agriculture.
Really, it's a term that we're hearing more and more of. And I'm just going to be honest here. I was just tripping over the name a second ago. We actually just had to cut that out. I just couldn't seem to say it. But you're exactly right. I mean,
Yeah.
it is agriculture that is, one of the biggest harms to the planet, which is
Yeah.
sounds funny, but also specifically animal agriculture. People don't understand that by,
Mm-hmm.
using animals as a, agriculture, let's just say, you know, product, it actually depletes the earth and the environment more than anything else. And
Yeah.
people laugh when you say stuff like, well, the number one, cause of carbon in the atmosphere is cow farts. And they're
Yeah.
like, ha
It is
ha ha. It's
cows.
like,
I
no,
know.
seriously, you don't understand how bad this is because we have overfarmed at this point. It's like we want convenience, we want more. We are in a consumer society. So it's helpful that we see people like you and others in the regenerative agriculture sector that are really solving these problems that we
Mhm.
essentially created for ourselves.
Yeah, I know. It's really crazy. So I always like to challenge people. Like, if this is the norm, is there a better way that we can do this where it is just like a win-win for supporting the wellness of people on the planet? Like, there has to be a better way. We're in the age of like AI. If we could do AI, we could do this better.
I honestly think we are kind of in the golden age of AI right now, and here's why. It's just enough to help us in our daily tasks. We're like, oh my God, it's so much easier. I
Yeah.
can do this and that. but it hasn't taken off to the point where it's like, I don't know, maybe more than we've bitten off more than we can chew. Let's put it that
Yeah.
way. I
Yeah.
liken
We're
it to the
robots.
start of the internet where it was just fun and easy and
Yeah.
safe to
Yeah.
be
Oh
online.
my
And now
God. Yeah,
everything
you're
is like,
right. Yeah. You're
now
so
everything's like, oh my God, look out, it's the big bad. But we'll talk about that in
right.
another
Yeah.
show.
That's like
I
a
want to go
whole
back to
other
you and Fluency Beauty because again, it's like it sounds like you were just creating this really great brand and business that so many people can get behind. But let me ask you, because you've been in the trenches and I'm seeing it from the pretty glossy side. What is like your biggest challenge that you faced in launching and growing your brand?
Oh man, my head is exploding with that question. Like literally everything is a challenge because a lot of times um founders go into this because of a passion of a vision, but none of us are equipped to do this. Like you just learn along the way. So yeah, like everything like branding, marketing, um the actual chemistry of the formula, like sustainable practices. All of this was learned through the years of trying to get this up and running. So if your end goal is to make money, you're going to just stop at every single obstacle because making money is not enough to push you through all the times that's going to suck.
There's definitely a lot of times that, and also that hurdle that I call from going from idea to action. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you get into action and then you start doing the daily task, and sometimes it's really hard to see, well, how do I get to that next step of it is profitable or I am growing? But you've managed to do that because I did read somewhere that you're actually getting into some retailers now.
No, not yet. I am working on it currently. I'm still working on it.
Well,
Yeah.
then I'm manifesting it for you right now because I
Oh
thought
my
I
God.
already read you did. So you hear that, universe? She's already in retailers. Get that
Thank you
Fluency
so
Beauty to
much.
my neighborhood
I
drugstore.
love that. Thank you so much. I feel
Well,
like a lot of these things that I've dreamed of and wanted for my business, they're like slowly manifesting. So I love that you said that.
yes, but I'll tell you, slower is better. I'm a big follower of the law of attraction. I listen to all the Abraham Hicks things. And one of the things she always says is, you don't want everything all at once. Like you don't want to eat everything you've ever dreamed of all at once because you can't enjoy it if there's too much, right? So it's
That's
like
so
this slow
true.
build. And I truly believe that because let me tell you something that just happened to me. I recently put out a call for podcast guests through this new service I found about called Source of Sources. Okay.
Mm.
Where you
Mhm.
basically can put in a query and say, I'm looking for this kind of guest. And I have to tell you, I have so many people contacting me right now. I'm overwhelmed.
That's so awesome, though.
I'm literally booked for 2 years and I am terrified.
That is amazing. Congratulations.
So I'm just saying, talking about putting it out there to the universe, like she's right. Sometimes getting it all at once can also be overwhelming. So I think a slow climb, a slow growth is good. Yeah, too much, little too much. In fact, I'm about to hire
But
a
that's
producer because it's too
exciting. That's
much.
awesome, though.
It is.
But I know what you mean. Yeah, you're trying to like wrap your head around everything.
Yes. Okay, so then going back to then when you were starting this brand and you had this idea and you're starting to get into the product development, how were you funding all of this? Where did that come from?
My salary.
Like,
Yeah.
well, clearly you understand how money works because you were in finance.
Yeah.
So you're just like, I'm just going to take my salary and plug
Yeah,
into this.
it's pretty expensive to start a brand, I have to say. So also it wasn't just my salary. Like I sold a lot of because I was working in finance, I was like amassing my designer collection of purses, clothes, shoes, blah blah. I sold probably like more than 80% of every all of those designer things just to fund it even more. And then I want to pitch a small pitch competition. So I got a little bit more funds that way as well.
That's awesome. Yeah. And like, just going back to what we were talking about, when you're starting the journey, I think sometimes people feel like they have to have all the questions answered immediately. So they're
Yeah.
like, oh, I need to do this and that. And then they'll look to outside sources to get funding.
Mhm.
Like even like Shark Tank, they're like, I have to get on Shark Tank. And it's like, you don't really, you can have a growth that's in line with, what you can handle at the time and then build and build and
Yeah.
build.
Yeah, definitely. And that's like the the other question after can I eat this that I get a lot is why don't you go on Shark Tank? And I'm just like, I don't want to, thank
Well, that's because people don't understand how that works. They think you get on Shark Tank and they give you a bucket of money
you.
and then
Yeah.
you're just rich and you're buying
Yes.
cars and houses. No,
Yes.
what they are doing is investing in your company and you give them part ownership of your
Yes.
company to get
Exactly.
that money. It's called equity, which
Yeah.
means essentially they become an investor in your business and that may or may not work for you, right? So, and
Yeah.
the money goes quickly too. So even when I'm watching some of the shows and they're like, "We're going to give you $100,000," because I've been in the business building sector so long, I'm like, $100,000 goes pretty fast.
Yeah,
So
it
what am I
does go
actually
really
getting from
fast.
this?
Exactly. That goes so fast, especially these days, right? What was the other thing? Yeah, and then if they you have to be so careful about who you take money from as well, because investors may have different viewpoints or different end goals than you. And so there might be like a misalignment in how you want to grow your business and which direction you want to take it. And because they gave you money, they have a heavy say in that now.
Absolutely. And then if it doesn't align with what you want to do, going back to your original story of working with the marketer who had a different vision, then it
Yeah,
becomes just friction that you just honestly don't need in your daily life.
exactly.
You want to find joy in your business. So, with that said,
Yeah.
give us a little view of like what are your plans for the future? Like, where are you looking to grow, or what kind of partnerships are you really trying to build that you think are going to get you to the next level? Let's put that out into the universe and make sure they
Yeah.
hear.
Yeah, well, I definitely will love to grow my team right now because it's gotten to the point where like there's so many things to do and I'm just one person. So I would love to hire like two more marketing people and just really start to scale and grow, get more like grow our community on social media and really have engaging conversations with people and do more in live um, events in New York as well. And then hopefully, like, I would really like to get a big retailer in 2026. But there's like so many steps to do before I get there.
Right, because you have to make sure that you're at the point where you can fulfill those big orders.
Yes, and then sell through because if you don't
Exactly,
sell
sell through.
through, like you lose the shelf space and sayonara.
Well, speaking of events, since you're in New York, are you aware of the Vegan Women's Summit?
No, I am not. Okay, I need to look into that.
Okay, so they started in New York. They had, I
Uh-huh.
think, two events there. They had one in LA last year in May. I believe they're going to have another one coming up, but I can put you in touch. Well, I mean, you can just reach out to them yourself, but that would be a perfect place for you as as a vendor because it just gives you the introduction to like, a whole new audience. Like when I went there, I met so many business owners. In fact, quite a few of them ended up being on this podcast, but it's
Oh,
a great way to kind of like do double duty with the marketing because you get to meet the consumers and then
yeah.
you get to meet like the business side as well. So I think that would be a great space for you.
Oh, yeah. I'll thank you so much. I definitely will have to look into that after this.
Yeah, the Vegan Women's Summit. So we definitely have to do
Okay.
that. And the other thing
Yeah.
I told you at the beginning when we first started talking that we didn't want to forget was how can people find you online?
Our website, fluencybeauty.com. There's also a really handy, helpful quiz that you can take that'll help you find your shade. And then also our socials are just at Fluency Beauty across the board.
Absolutely. And the quiz, let me tell you, like I said, I did the quiz. I couldn't believe how spot on it was. And it's super short. It's very easy to get through. And what I really liked was when I was finished the quiz, I got an email from you with a nice little gift in it. I'm not going to tell the listeners what it is. So you have to fill out the quiz and then you get that special gift. So don't forget to do that on the website. It's super easy. But then it also gives you some insight, I think, really to see kind of what works best with you and maybe what you're attracted to. Because here's the thing, you could take the quiz, and if you don't agree with it, that's fine. You could pick a different product. We don't
Yeah,
care.
that's
But it
true.
was pretty spot on for me because apparently I am brave. So, and of course you are too because you're wearing it right
Thank
now.
you. Oh, I do want to point out I'm wearing it as blush right now. I don't know if you can tell, but just so like you can see the difference, you can like blur it out or you can build it up. So the formula is just so versatile. I like love it.
It is. And once again, that ingredient list, if you read it, you're going to want to eat it. I know I sure do. But with that said, Ada, has been so lovely to talk to you. You've like just made my day. This is my last interview of the day, and thank you. You actually like woke me up because I was really losing energy. I'm telling you, I'm overwhelmed with guests at this point. I have so many that I'm just doing back-to-back interviews, and you really like, oh God, you just livened me up. I wish you were in LA. We could go
Oh,
out to dinner.
thank you. I know, seriously. I lived in LA for a little bit and then I moved back to New York, but I miss LA for sure.
Okay, well, next time you're in town, we're definitely hanging out.
Okay,
And
sounds
please make sure
good.
you go reach out at that vegan women's summit, because I
I
think you'd be
will.
perfect for them and you will love them. Jenny is the organizer. She's in New York. Well, where is she now? I don't even know where she is, but I know the event started in New York. Anyway, with that said, thank you for being on the show. You are a delight, and I can't wait to see how your
Thank you
business grows.
so much. It was so lovely speaking with you today.
Thanks for listening to the Wild Party Podcast. If you're an entrepreneur or professional who would like to be on this podcast, please visit boomtownmarketing.com and click on podcast. We believe that every business has the potential to change the world for good, and we want to support our community to help make the world more ethical, compassionate, and sustainable for all future generations to come. And if you're looking to build your business, no matter what level you're at now, request your free marketing consultation at boomtownmarketing.com and click Get Started.